Hello, my name is Dr. Bobby Maybe. I'm making a video today. Long story short, this video is in response to a video that Dr. Patrick Gentempo made, which were his comments of the summit that recently happened in Europe of chiropractic colleges, where 6 European chiropractic colleges and 1 South African college put together a proposal of what they think the future of chiropractic education should be. It limited some concepts that are known to chiropractic, such as the vertebral subluxation complex, vitalistic care, and things like that. So I want to address Dr. Gentempo's video and all the other stuff you might have to do your homework on if you don't know where I'm coming from. First and foremost, the term vitalism. Now, vitalism, my personal opinion and opinion of a lot of people that I know, is most of the chiropractors in the chiropractic profession who claim themselves to be vitalists aren't truly vitalists at all, and they don't really understand what that term means. We have to also remember, in terms of speaking in science or speaking in terms of understanding how the world works around us, vitalistic explanations have always been used as placeholders until we found a better way to explain what's going on in the world around us. I'm not personally comfortable with settling for a profession that only relies on placeholder explanations for what's going on in the world around us. I think that further explanation, further investigation, clearer definitions of what we do are much more important, like maybe a specific definition of what a vertebral subluxation complex is. Once we have specific definitions, we can always investigate them for their validity. But if we do not have specific definitions, we will never get anywhere specifically. It's also my opinion that some people like the fact that the vertebral subluxation complex and vitalism are not specifically defined, because they can pretty much make it up or define it any way they want to be, and that's also inappropriate for a healthcare profession, in my personal opinion. One of the problems we see with our leaders in this profession, especially the ones who demonstrate certainty or a position of ownership of the idea of the vertebral subluxation complex, is they're not always very willing to share their proof, even though they have the burden of proof that what they are doing is correct, and they'll surely tell you that what they're doing is correct. We mostly get an idea when we ask them, can you show me your proof? We get the attitude of, go look it up yourself, go figure it out on your own, go read a book. If you had the burden of proof and someone asked you for proof and you were so certain of your position, we would think that you'd have the gold standard of evidence that you could just hand it right over and say, all you need to do is read this study or this book or whatever, and it would be right there in front of us. But we just don't have that in this profession. That's a big problem. In Dr. Gentempo's video, about 3 minutes and 40 seconds into the video, there's a little bit of an intellectual sleight of hand, and I don't know if anyone has caught it yet, or if it's that obvious, because it was pretty obvious to me. We were talking about the vertebral subluxation complex, which the contention of many of the people I know in this profession is that it hasn't been specifically defined or proven. So it's a non-proven concept that chiropractors tend to believe, some of them, which is true. There's not much evidence to prove it. But there is plenty of evidence to prove the effectiveness of chiropractic care upon the population. And what Dr. Gentempo does, he makes a little leap of logic, or he twists the information just a little bit, where he says that there's plenty of proof to prove the subluxation complex when there isn't. He substituted chiropractic care for subluxation, and based on probably his beliefs that correcting subluxations is chiropractic, then I can see how he would misconstrue that idea. But when you look at the profession as a whole, not everybody believes that. So subluxations don't. Chiropractic helps people. That doesn't mean subluxations do. So there was a little bit of a logical fallacy in there that I don't know everyone else picked up on, but I picked up on that. Another part of Dr. Gentempo's video I didn't quite understand is when he was very strong in saying that field doctors should opine about their opinions on this subject. Who doesn't agree with that? I think field doctors should be paramount in discussing the things that are going on in their field, because they are seeing the patients. They're the ones that take care of people. I would much rather prefer that a field doctor has an opinion in the process or the direction of where his profession goes, then the salesman and the quote-unquote leaders of the profession who are profiting off the profession, but not actually seeing patients or understanding what's going on in the field or going on with the students who graduate and need to pay off student loans and get into business and understand the rules of practice and things like that. So, you know, I would much rather prefer the field doctor be involved in the future of the profession than salesmen, even though the salesmen seem to control the winds of change within this profession, or the lack of winds of change within the profession. And when it comes to salespeople, you can't deny the conflict of interest that Dr. Gentempo possesses when he tries to give his opinion on this subject. The man literally specifically profits off of one word, and that's the vertebral subluxation complex, or that one concept. He also profits specifically off of the philosophy that is surrounded with that. He is part of what I call a subluxation industrial complex, a cadre of friends and colleagues and fellow salesmen who all, their whole life, their whole income is dependent upon this word subluxation. And if they don't have that word to sell to people, they can't make a buck, because they're usually not seeing patients on a normal basis. They make their money selling things. It's kind of a thing. There's a term called the Hegelian dialectic. What that means is when you create a problem and then you offer the solution, that is when you're participating in the Hegelian dialectic. And that's what a lot of these salespeople in our profession are doing. They go to schools and they tell students you're going to fail unless you have the right philosophy. They go to doctors who are not doing well in practice and say you're not certain enough about your philosophy and about your subluxation-based care. They tell students if you're not a subluxation-based doctor, you're going to fail in practice. So they create this area of lack, or this area of need, and then they offer the solution, which is their own sales programs and their own products. What kind of proof do I have of that? I've got plenty of proof of Dr. Gentempo doing the same thing, but most specifically when it comes to this video or this concept and this proclamation put out by the chiropractic colleges, that video that Dr. Gentempo made was on June 1st of 2015. It wasn't not the next day, it was the very, very next day that I got an email from a fellow chiropractor who's a former chiropractic association president. It was kind of like a spam email to everybody, like an affiliate, check out this thing. And it was an advertisement for Dr. Gentempo's philosophy formula program, which is a $1,000 program where you can get more centered on the philosophy. So this video where Dr. Gentempo seems frothed up about the proclamation and uses really a lot of appeal to emotion and appeal to tradition and all these really rhetorical, flowery words like metaphorical book burning and things like that, I don't really believe that he was that concerned about the proclamation at all, or what it might portend for the profession. I really think he was just trying to froth up his base so he can sell more of his product right before it launched the very next day. And if you look at, probably if you're on a dynamic chiropractic email list or any other email list, you've probably gotten hit with this sort of ad spam thing to join his program already. So you might already know what I'm talking about. You know, once again, a lot of this, he accused the proclamation being meaningless rhetoric. And if you read what the colleges were saying, it was a lot about being patient-centered, having ethics in practice, practicing things that we know in the world, evidence-based medicine. And we can get into the debates about evidence-based medicine some other time. I don't have the time here to do that. But it's sad to think that these things, being patient-centered, being evidence-based, teaching things that are actually provable in the college, teaching students not to be fraudulent in their care plans and things like that. It's sad to think that those are considered like edgy or stepping out, or the school's really taking a risk to say that that's what they think the education should be in the future, when that's the way the education should be. So, you know, their proclamation was very simple. They are really, it was just get the money changers out of the temple. And I think some of the money changers like Dr. Gentempo and his friends are very uncomfortable with that. So to wrap this up, you know, Dr. Gentempo, you know, the content of his video was full of straw man arguments and logical fallacies, and he really tried to whip it up in the end to really make you feel something about children and parents. But really, he was just trying to sell something or prepare to sell something. And you know, his metaphor for the parachute, it was very cute. And I can tell he really enjoyed himself when he was talking about the randomized controlled trial of the parachute. There's some logical fallacy there too, because he completely has denied that the parachute has undergone a scientific evolution over time, where things have been researched, how to make a parachute more effective and what would be the best way to use it. So, you know, that's, like I said before, that's the argument of the evidence-based medicine that we can get into later on. But I would invite Dr. Gentempo to undergo his own study from his perspective, and we'll see if it's just as funny. Maybe we can have him undergo a case study of what it is like to jump out of a plane without a parachute, and hope that a metaphysical, vitalistic construct will magically save him from having a fateful result. So that's all I got. If you have any questions, I'm sure people who don't agree with this video will tell me anyways. Take care of yourself, and bye.